Navigating online consent forms as a new parent with a child starting at childcare or school can be a little bit overwhelming. Some parents are really scared about being too overprotective and ticking no to everything and potentially missing out on communication about their child. And on the other end of the spectrum, we have parents who might be ticking yes to everything without understanding what they're truly consenting to. So why is it important to think about how much information about your child is posted online by the school or childcare centre? Firstly, we teach kids from a really young age to keep their personal information private. That means not sharing photos of themselves, their name, their school online. If they get to school and teachers and parents are posting their personal information, that sends a really conflicting message to kids. Secondly, although rare, sharing too much personal information about your child or yourself can make it really easy for somebody who's doing the wrong thing to turn up and act as if they know your child, which is a really scary thought. Often these forms will contain a media section, which might include things like newspapers and news stories. The trouble with these are when these organisations come in, they collect a lot of personal information to share, such as pictures of your child, their name, their class, their teacher, and of course the school. That information is widely shared and it's also kept online for a long time. Often too, we don't get a chance with these sorts of media publications to check what's going to be posted before it's posted or published, which means it's really hard to get things back if the wrong information's been shared or if too much personal information has been shared. If the school has a social media page or maybe Facebook or Instagram, it's worth checking it out. In most cases, you'll see that those social media pages are public, and they're public because the school want to celebrate the work that they're doing. Have a look at the social media page, look at the type of content posted, and see whether you'd be comfortable if that sort of information about your child is shared. Also to consider with social media pages is that they're not always run by the school. They might have a parent delegate who manages the page, or they might be a subgroup which is actually not part of the school at all. If those pages are run by a parent and not actually official school pages, they might not be following the policies and procedures set out by the Department of Education to keep your kids safe. Web pages and newsletters often appear in these forms as well, and sometimes parents think that having a newsletter permission is okay because they picture it as the paper version that they had themselves when they were at school. Newsletters are often found online now on the school webpage, or they can be shared on school communication apps. This means that those newsletters are readily available to the general public and can be easily found. Most children from foundation onwards use the internet at school. The question here to ask is, what sort of online safety does the school provide to students before letting them go on devices? And also, your child will be asked to fill out an acceptable user agreement. So it's important when they bring this home that you discuss the form with them so that they understand what the rules are when they're using the internet at school. The eSafety Commissioner's Office, Common Sense Media and Evolve Education have fantastic resources for parents to help you skill up your child so that they can stay safe online. You'll also be asked to give consent or permission for viewing. Most things that kids watch at school have a G rating. However, if there's a specific documentary or film that your child's required to watch that has a PG rating, information about that film or documentary will be sent home for you so you can give specific permission for that. Be aware that some schools will stop sending PG permission slips home after a certain point, so it's worth checking in to see when that happens, if it happens at your school. It's worth touching base with your child's classroom teacher to make sure that you're aware of how much screen time on average that your child's having each day. This means if they've had a heavy day on screens, you can make sure that that's supplemented with some offline activities at home. Teachers often use screens or interactive whiteboards in their teaching. This shouldn't count towards their screen time unless they're actually viewing something. School communication apps are a great way for parents and teachers to communicate with each other, to see what their child's doing in class and to celebrate learning. A lot of these apps enable parents to invite other friends or family to view their child's profile. This can be problematic if group shots are shared because you don't necessarily know who's viewing your child in that group shot. Sometimes, for example, grandma might be shared into a student's profile where she sees a group photo that contains your child. She might not know that it's not acceptable to download or screen share that photo and then on share it with her friends or put it on an online profile. A lot of these platforms have been put in place to share student work and to celebrate the great things that kids do at school. They've also come about because parents have wanted to feel more connected to the school, and it often creates a much heavier workload on teachers. So, when you're navigating these forms, please chat to your classroom teacher to make sure that what you're asking is actually manageable for the teacher. If you've requested that your child doesn't appear in group photos, that they are in the group photo, but that the teacher covers their face with a digital sticker like an emoji rather than removing them from the task or making them wear a physical mask. Finally, these forms need to be completed by your school annually. That means that if you change your mind or you want to update your preferences as your child gets older, you can each year. I hope this video has been helpful. For more information, you can go to the Evolve website at www.evolve-edu.com.au.